He's a little bit country. He's a little bit rock and roll. He's a little bit polka, death metal, abstract jazz, and German industrial techno. He's Scott Leffler. He's not allowed near the stereo at parties.
Hello there, and welcome to our happy little show, Here's the Thing. I'm your host. My name's Scott Leffler. Joining me in studio this evening is Nick and Dan of the Nick and Dan Show. A new ditty will be adding to the airwaves a little later this month. But before we get to Nick and Dan, I have some breaking news for you tonight. Well, it's breaking if you haven't been watching the news already. Truth of the matter, it kind of broke a few hours ago, but it's important. I think we should talk about it. So the FBI has raided Michael Cohen's office. Cohen, you might know, is Donald Trump's lawyer. News reports say this is over the little matter known as the Stormy Daniels affair. Stormy Daniels, a porn star who was apparently paid $130,000 to say that she didn't sleep with Donald Trump. Now, personally, if I was her, or for that matter, if I was anyone, it doesn't really matter, I wouldn't need any money to deny sleeping with Donald Trump. Then again, I wouldn't have slept with Donald Trump. Not even for $130,000. Anyway, so a White House official said that Trump had been watching TV reports of the FBI raiding Cohen's office and that Trump knew about the raid before the news broke. So, knowing his lawyer's office was about to get raided by the FBI, our president, your president, you can't deny him, he's our president, Donald Trump did what any reasonable person would have done. He turned on the news. The man has an addiction, ladies and gentlemen. Something's wrong. Look, I have addictions. I'm addicted to caffeine. I'm addicted to nicotine. I'm addicted to the music. But the man has a serious TV addiction. Anyway, so Trump's lawyer's lawyer, Stephen Ryan, called the raid inappropriate. And if we could just hold on and analyze that sentence there. Trump's lawyer's lawyer. If your lawyer has to have a lawyer to help him dig out of the shit you got him into, that's probably a bad thing. But Ryan released a statement saying, I've been advised by federal prosecutors that the New York action is in part a referral by the Office of Special Counsel Robert Mueller. It resulted in the unnecessary seizure of protected attorney-client communications between a lawyer and his clients. These government tactics are also wrong because Mr. Cohen has cooperated completely with all government entities, including providing thousands of non-privileged documents to the Congress and sitting for depositions under oath. Now, Congress, really, if you followed Congress at all, you would know that Congress is hopelessly hapless. Congress is pathetic. The Congress effort at, determining what happened with the whole Russia thing was they were just like, oh, we don't want anything to have happened, so we're just going to say that nothing happened. Anyway, for its part, the special counsel, Robert Mueller's office, declined to comment because, that's what they do. And it's kind of funny because they don't comment on anything, and then Trump's like, oh, there's no collusion. They haven't said there's collusion. Dumbass, that's how it works. They don't say anything until they have everything. And apparently now one of the things that they have is all of your lawyer's files. That's never a good thing. So a person briefed on the search told the New York Times, who, by the way, had originally broken the story before CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, ABC, NBC, CBS, PBS, Pravda, and then us here at Here's the Thing, that the FBI also seized emails, tax documents, and business records, including communications between Trump and Cohen. That's probably not good for anyone, especially Donald Trump. Now, Trump, you may recall, told a press gaggle last week that he was unaware of the $130,000 payment from Cohen to Daniels. By the way, follow Daniels on Twitter. She's a lot of fun. Now, it's not illegal to lie to the press, but it is a pretty shitty thing to do when you keep calling them fake news. Donald Trump, of course, famous for fake news, for refusing to believe that Barack Obama wasn't born in Kenya, then swept off to Hawaii when he was just days old, so he could pretend to be an American as part of a liberal Democratic ploy to get him elected to the presidency some 40 years later. Trump is also blaming Obama for a chemical attack that occurred in Syria over the weekend. God knows why. I think Trump also blamed Obama for World War I and syphilis. Not Trump's syphilis. As far as I know, the healthiest person in the history of history does not have syphilis, which is actually kind of surprising considering he apparently spends his free time setting up a casting couch for porn stars and then paying them to pretend he didn't. Now, I've seen enough casting couch videos to know that he's doing it all wrong. The point is for those videos to go public, not to remain private. But hey, this is Donald Trump. Why would I expect him to get it right? Okay, so I don't want to keep my guests waiting too long, so we're going to take a short break here while I play a piece from my YouTube channel, here's the thing about Bob Ross and get Nick and Dan set to go. And I will be right back. American artist Bob Ross was a common face on our television screens between 1983 and 1994, when he hosted a half-hour instructional painting show called The Joy of Painting. He was popular for his calm and gentle demeanor and a soft voice full of encouragement. His frizzy perm and beard were always accompanied by a casual dress sense of shirt and jeans while he delivered stroke after stroke to the canvas. Here's the thing. Even though Ross died more than 20 years ago, he seems to be as popular as ever, thanks to the internet. In 2015, Twitch TV hosted a 9-day marathon of his TV series on what would have been his 73rd birthday, and 5.6 million viewers tuned in to watch it. His relentless positivity transformed him into a cultural icon, and instructional quotes like, "There are no mistakes, only happy accidents," have endeared him to a whole new generation of fans. So let's get a little crazy here and take a look at what's actually in a Bob Ross painting. Using data from website 538, we can see exactly what Ross loved to add to his landscapes. Ross once said that there's nothing wrong with having a tree as a friend. And boy, did he like to get as many of those friends into his paintings as possible. In fact, 91% of Bob Ross paintings have a minimum of one tree in them. 85% have at least two. 44% have clouds, and 39% have a mountain in the background. Worth noting, only 2% of Bob Ross paintings had flowers in them. I knew there was a reason I liked the guy. What do you think of Bob Ross? Let us know in the comments below, and please be sure to share this with your friends.
Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, today the role of Scott Leffler will be played by Scott Leffler.
Joining me today on the All Western New York Radio casting couch, Nick and Dan. From the Nick and Dan Show, which kicks off on All Western New York Radio later this month, the second season. Now, these guys did this show last year on YouTube. I was a guest on, I think it was their final show.
Yep.
And said, you know what, you guys need to do this show with All Western New York Radio. And they said, cool. So, I've mentioned before, I have a new studio here in the Niagara Business Center building. Moved from the third floor to the second floor about 6 weeks ago or so. Mm-hmm. And these guys actually broke this new room in before I even got here. And then in the last 6 weeks or so, they've been here once or twice a week, depending upon the week, for a few hours at a time with different bands and businesses and strippers, and I don't even know what they've had in here.
And gradually the couch has gotten, stickier and stickier each time.
We tried to prevent it. We did order Sperm Guard to your Alexa account. I don't know if you got the message or not. But.
We put a few other things on there, too. We're going to have to pry ourselves off of this, by the way, before we leave.
Now, they have made a habit when I come into the office either Sunday night or Monday morning, or sometimes Thursday night or Friday morning if they were here Thursday, I do have to ask Alexa, what's on my shopping list?
You have 3 items on your shopping list: cutting board, hot shot sauce, and peanut butter.
All right, so that's actually my shopping list. But there are times when I come in and my shopping list is filled with strippers and nude pictures of Think So Joe. And I don't even, I can't even remember some of the insane things that these guys have put on the shopping list here.
Satanic Astroglide.
And
there's been things meant to be inserted into certain orifices and things that should never be inserted into orifices but yet are. There's been a lot of stuff.
If you want an A, you got to work for it.
All right, so guys, thanks for coming in. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Man. Thanks for having us.
Now, tell me a little bit more about what's going to happen with Season 2 of the Nick and Dan Show.
Fucked if I know, man.
Yeah. It's been interesting. We've had some really fun guests on the show so far.
I know you've had a pretty steady stream of people in and out. And,
yeah.
Who are some of the highlights that you've had? Maybe guests that you've had this year that didn't do it last year, for example.
This year, the first one that comes to mind is Kyle Gleason, an artist friend of ours who actually did the cover art for our forthcoming album coming out later in June. So we had him in here talking about his background and what he's trying to do going forward.
Yeah. Scarecrow show, they were awesome. They came in, we had a fun time with the interview, and then they pretty much rocked out an entire set. for us.
That was in the previous office before we changed to this big, cushy, lush office you got now.
And then we stole the keys. Yeah, sorry, buddy. I know you were looking for those for a few days.
Right. We had the full band of Station Wagon here. We had just Nolan Curtis last year.
Right.
Yeah,
we actually had the full band in this year.
With the new setup, with the new office, I should say, have you been able to set full bands in here?
Yeah.
Not full. We haven't done a full band in here yet. We've done acoustic setups in here so far. We're still trying to find somebody to come on in and set up, the full band, because I would like to check that out and really see how the room works with it.
Yeah.
But I would love to do a like an all Western New York radio invite only show here in the studio.
That'd be cool.
With maybe like a band doing an acoustic set. Maybe like the only way you get tickets is to win them. I haven't figured out all the details, but I do know that I love this space and I want to use it.
Yeah.
So I think that'd be maybe you only win tickets and like it includes the show, beer, and pizza.
There you go.
I don't know.
And I like pizza and beer.
And we only give away like 6 pairs of tickets.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I mean that'd be like the size of most of your shows.
Yeah,
right in the heart.
Ouch.
Actually, you guys draw pretty well.
We try, yeah.
Man. We do us, I mean, we slowly but surely we've actually taken notice of it that the people who come to see us enjoy the atmosphere
Right.
that we bring, whether we open or mid-card, close, we're always there, we're always talking to people, and we try to bring the good times that we have making the music onto stage to share with everybody else. So.
Right. And I mean, we also like to I like to think the people that do come out regularly, it's kind of like a family almost when you look at it. I mean, we've got fans that have made friends with other fans.
Sure.
When,
absolutely.
After we're done playing, you go out and you see them all in a circle talking, smoking cigarettes and everything.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's really cool, too, that we're able to kind of make stuff like that happen. And then another big part of it, I feel like that really helps get people out to our shows is, I know Dan and I, and even the other members, are real big believers in going to other people's shows.
Sure.
Yeah.
Going hanging out, just getting that FaceTime out there. Because I remember, standing outside of shows with flyers, trying to get people to come out to the shows, and now, people don't do that the way they used to. So it makes a little bit of a difference, I think.
Yeah, it's actually been a common theme on the season 2 of the Nick and Dan show is not only just trying to bring the community back together, but bringing that camaraderie where it was, an event to go out to for the evening. You didn't just go out for one person's set or just to go see one particular person.
Right.
You went out for the evening. It was an evening of entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I said, it's kind of been the common theme from other bands, not just ourselves, to try and promote that again, bring that back.
It does help that where we play has beer.
This is true.
People like beer. I like beer.
I like beer.
We've heard.
I mean,
you're welcome. Face to face, by the way, for the beer in the fridge. Apparently, Carl's been slacking.
Carl is slacking.
Yeah, Carl, what are you doing? Guys, I'm really freaking sorry. I've just been so involved with having fun with my purple fuzzy things here that,
Fuck you, Carl.
Right, fuck off, Carl. You're a goddamn son of a bitch, and you always drink our beer. I'm glad you left some for fucking Scott here.
Freeloader is what you are.
If you want to know what the Nick and Dan show is like, there's an example right there. Now, back to the Nick and Dan show.
Yeah, but
you guys started this show last year, and it was originally like a everything but music show, right?
It was a clusterfuck.
How to build a car engine.
Yeah, the original title.
How to make your own Vaseline.
Pretty much, yeah. Meth labs.
Right.
No, the original title was actually Nick and Dan doing shit. We just, I'm pretty handy. I'm always working on things, and Nick has lavish ideas that, hey, we need to do this. Try to figure it out kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Plus we're into like old shit, like he had an old 81 El Camino. He has his grandfather's old cash register still in my fucking garage.
Mm-hmm.
The motorcycle that he's in the process of buying.
Yep.
I like to work on shit. So that was the original premise of the show was just, we do this shit anyways. Why not just film it?
Right.
Yeah.
And then, try to cross-pollinate people from that, on YouTube. If you're looking up how to do brakes on your 81 El Camino, hey, we're in a band too, check that out.
Right.
And it slowly became a talk show.
Yup.
It pretty much became the video version of what Joe Kent does on the Think So Joe show.
Right.
Just less wrestling and video game talk.
And more
music.
And alcohol and food.
Yeah, but
recurring themes on the Nick and Dan show.
Yeah.
Music, alcohol, and food.
Right.
In case anybody's wondering.
But as you had mentioned it before, season 1 was no idea of a budget at all. Not that we have one on season 2, but
right.
It was just thrown together. Let's film it in my garage on a Sunday and air it on Tuesday kind of thing, which for the first couple of weeks was awesome. And then by like week 5, we were like, what the fuck did we do to ourselves?
Yeah. Whoops.
Yeah. And then you came on, like you said, the last episode and graciously offered us the space here under the All West New York umbrella.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to plan ahead a little bit. We had all pretty much the rest of the summer and all winter to think about it.
Yeah.
So here we are, man, living the big dream.
Right. Now, there is a lot of editing that goes into the show, isn't there? Because, I mean, I know you're here every Thursday, every Sunday. Mm-hmm. Well, almost every Thursday, almost every Sunday. And you're here for 4 hours at a pop.
Oh, yeah, easy.
So, I mean, obviously the show itself isn't going to be 4 hours per episode.
No, that'd be great if it was.
What do you boil that down to, and what do you do with the outtakes?
There's going to be an entire DVD collection of bloopers.
oh, man. Yeah, the outtakes, those are resting in the archive for right now until I figure out the proper way to share them with everybody. I feel like maybe one day we'll just have like a Nick and Dan special where it's, 3 hours of bloopers with special guests and everything. But, yeah, there's some editing involved. I mean, for your usual episode, the ones we were doing, for when it was just YouTube, usually ranged anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes. And for that, you're talking a good 8 hours of editing to really put it all together. And that's just kind of whipping through stuff, too, not a lot of fine attention to detail. With this season, the episodes, as far as what's going to air on YouTube, is still going to be like a 45-minute episode. So there's going to be the same amount of editing, but also then on top of that, the podcast that will be airing on All WNY, that's going to be an hour and a half. So actually, it makes it a little easier for editing, really. Because I'm able to, like, all right, so, because a lot of the footage we've got is just like us not, like, in our usual spots, shooting the shit, going out for smoke breaks. So that does help to edit it down some. So I chop that down. I kind of go through and find the stuff that, really didn't go anywhere. Or, not everything is lightning in a bottle.
Right.
So, some of those things I chop it out. Or, like, we get through something, all right, can we just go back through that again? Because that made no sense the way we wore it together.
Or that entire 45-minute conversation cannot air at all.
Oh, yeah. It happened once or twice.
Yeah. And I would do it, we do it to have fun. We're not in it to blow up anybody's spot,
Right.
So
right.
It's when a bunch of people get into a room, they start to vent anyways, for the good or for the bad. But, we're not about to fuck anybody's life up,
So if somebody, like, admits to committing murder, for example, you're like, all right, this episode's not going to air.
The episode will air, but
just that little, that
won't.
portion won't. Yeah, that we'll cut that out, or we'll cut everything else out and just air that.
Or you'll just say, "What if OJ did do it? Yeah. This is how it would have happened."
Pretty much.
There you go.
I mean, there's gonna be you're gonna have to watch it because it's gonna go quick, but they'll come in nicely dressed, and then it'll be a split-second flash screen, and then their boots will be muddy. There'll be a shovel in the corner.
Right.
They kind of look
with a bag of lye.
Yeah, they kind of look like Nick Nolte's police photo. Yeah, a little frazzled.
Yeah, a little frazzled.
It'll be quick, but I don't. I mean, as far as the editing goes, I don't really do it. It's all Nicholas here. But I called you Nicholas.
I hate you.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. But I mean, we're not always filming when people get here, but we usually always have the audio recorder rolling.
Right.
So there's a lot of good conversation like that. I feel it'll come through on the podcast side, which may make it easier for him to edit it.
Cool.
So.
Very cool. So, back to the band side.
Yep.
Music side in general. Before Exum, I'm sure that you guys have been involved in other projects. Let's start with you, Dan. Dan, what have you done prior to Exum Priory?
I was actually the first chair drummer of Aerosmith, going back, in early '70.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep.
No,
Wow.
yeah,
Don't
awesome.
fact check it. Stay off of Wikipedia. Stay off Wikipedia for the next 30 minutes until I get online.
Yeah, we got, Steven Tyler and I got into a pissing match about who was going to drive the van, and then from there, I actually tried out to be saxophonist for Jethro Tull, but that didn't work. He wanted a flute.
Seriously.
I've heard your skin flute skills are incredible.
Oh, they're phenomenal, man.
They are.
32 years
it's
of doing that
world
shit.
renowned.
Yeah.
That's actually the reason we asked him to be in the band.
It truly is. He was like,
And
"Oh
then
my God, you're Dan, the skin flute player." I mean, I've known you for years, but I didn't know you were that Dan, the skin flute player.
Right, and then he mentioned he played bass, and we thought that would make more sense.
Yeah, given my frame, I need a bigger instrument, not something so dainty. But in all honesty, through middle school and high school, I was in concert band. Started playing the bass guitar in middle school when my concert band grades were slipping. My band teacher, Phil Sims, yes, that Phil Sims, brought up the idea of me playing bass guitar in a jazz band. So I picked that up real quick, got on with that. Flash forward, middle of high school, I was fucking around with a bunch of friends. We were in this band called Planet Overdose. So I was playing bass with them, with a good friend of ours, until we told him that he sucked on guitar, so he sold me all of his guitar shit for $100. And, was in and out of bands.
I don't know if that's necessarily a good strategy.
It worked. I mean, I got a bunch of shit for $100. I got a 412 half-stack cabinet. And
you suck at driving. I'll take this Camaro from you.
Exactly. It's just, you got to tell the truth. But, was in and out of bands for that for a while, and then fell into a band called Putrefaction. I was the second guitarist in that heavy metal band. And then that just kind of imploded. I don't actually really know what happened to that. And then I was going to shows, trying to get something started, and then just kind of got a distaste for the music scene where it was going, because at that point, everything stopped being, let's kind of have fun and play some fucking music, to you're not a metal kid, you can't come to this show, you're not a rapper, you can't go to this show. And I just had a big distaste for the music scene at the time, and the people who wanted to be in bands but didn't want to put the serious time into it. And I pretty much sold everything when I was out of it. And then Nick here found me at a house party of a mutual friend of ours and said, you still playing bass? I said, I have one. I haven't touched it in fucking 6 months. He was like, all right, so you're not doing anything. Come on fucking next week for practice. All right, so I kicked it over for the week, and my wife kind of kicked me in the ass. Like, I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to get back into it, and my wife kind of kicked me in the ass and was like, just do it. You're never going to know until you do it, So
she's like, get the fuck out of there.
Pretty much. She's like, my boyfriend's coming over. You need to get the fuck out. I got fucking 3 of them coming. No. On my back.
Lucky lady.
And then, so I went for practice, and, we jammed a little bit. I actually had to run home and grab my amplifier because I think we blew up Luke's. And then came back the next week, and they offered me the spot in the band, and the rest is history.
Cool beans.
Yeah, man.
Yep.
Now, Nick, your story is longer and more diverse.
Oh, yeah.
It involves, numerous different penal codes.
Yeah.
Penal. Wait, that doesn't mean what I think it means, does it?
Probably not.
I did tell you.
I have a feeling most things don't.
He did have a wicked right hook.
I started playing guitar when I was little, and a little bit of drums too. Took lessons from Jamie Holka for a short bit at D'Amico Music, and then bands, mid-90s, terrible gutter punk, we didn't know what we were doing at all. I understood what the strings were and what they do, but not quite how to make them sound good together. And gradually progressed to...
The nice thing is that works great in a punk band.
Oh, yeah.
It does, especially gutter punk. It was terrific. Right. People fucking hated us.
That works for a punk band too.
Our logo was, we were called The Fixed. Our logo was a stick figure with an X through the crotch. Very, very well drawn. Very well drawn. It was very avant-garde.
Oh, very avant-garde. Picasso would be proud.
I don't know if I'd go that far. Maybe like Pollock would be proud.
All right.
Probably not.
No, not at all. They would probably look at me in disgust. I'm used to that, though. I'm married. From there, God, tons of bands. Ones I probably forget. Some that jump to mind. Section 1, Psycho Paisley, Cowfunk, and the Screaming Uggers of Doom.
Yeah, you heard that right.
Broken Frame.
Psycho Paisley, Cowfunk, and the Screaming Gutters of Doom.
Uggers.
Cow udders.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Of Doom. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. That was something.
I can't imagine why that one didn't take off.
Me either.
It wouldn't fit on the CD.
Yeah. It couldn't fit on a parchment, dude. Long fucking name.
I would love seeing that on a marquee.
Right. It's like one of those.
They've got to borrow like numbers and stuff to make sure they got enough letters for everything.
They've got to borrow another marquee.
Oh man.
From their Broken Frame, and then Pyrosexuals.
Yeah.
Lucid Fire.
Yeah.
From the Ashes for a short bit, and then eventually just solo, doing acoustic stuff, and then this band formed.
Cool.
Now here I am with a beer. That was what you heard earlier, another beer.
Yeah.
So, when did you guys start Exum?
Oh shit! January 2015.
Well, originally Luke and I started jamming around, and we started throwing names back and forth, and that one kind of jumped out for us. That had to be.
Yeah, it was way before me.
It was, that was like.
People fuck the name up all the time, right?
Oh yeah,
We do. We fuck with it sometimes.
Luke and I probably like summer of 2015. Then we had an old drummer of mine, Corey Quinn, from Lucid Fire and Broken Frame, in with us for a real short bit. Wasn't quite working out. We got Anthony, because Anthony had been in bands with Luke previously, a bunch of them. I can't even, off the top of my head.
Poison in the Nest.
Poison in the Nest.
He was in Joe Kent's band, Think So Brain.
There you go. And so us three started jamming. Joe Kent was originally supposed to come out and try out for bass for us, but he didn't have reliable transportation at the time. AJ Orsi was supposed to be the singer, but couldn't get his schedule to work, so I sung out of necessity.
Mm-hmm.
Ran into him, like he said, and then we linked up.
Yeah.
Yeah?
So, yeah, that party was early December 2014. And then I joined practices with them January 2015, and then
2015 December going into 2016.
Okay, years and numbers and things.
Yeah.
So I started in January, and then our first show was that June. So once the pieces were there, it all just kind of fell together.
Cool.
Yep.
And you guys have played some pretty decent sized crowds.
Yeah,
we have
an overwhelming amount actually. We came out for our first show. We actually headlined our first show by mistake. We were supposed to play with a band called Heartsick out of Detroit.
Lansing,
Michigan. For whatever reason, they couldn't make it, and we had sold the most tickets. So, Greg Bird had previously asked us before if we wanted to headline, and we were like, no, dude, this is our first show. That's not fair to the other bands.
Like, nobody knows who the hell we are. I mean, they knew us all individually, but they didn't know the band at all.
They were interested to see what we were doing together. Like Nick had said, they knew us from previous projects individually. And they were like, oh, my God, you got Dan and Luke and Nick and Anthony in a band. I wonder what this is going to sound like. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, we had turned it down. And then he was like, well, Heartsick dropped off the bill because something's going on in Michigan, and you guys sold the most tickets, so you're headlining.
Yeah.
We were like, all right, fuck.
It was what we were originally, like, people would be like, who the fuck are these guys? Why are they headlining? Yeah. Actually, a couple of the bands on the bill were friendly and everything, but they hit us up like, hey, so who are you guys? Tell us about you.
Right.
Because most of us have been missing from the music scene for a real long time. Like I said, I've been doing the solo acoustic circuit. So covers,
Pretty much.
lots of covers. Oh, I feel dirty just saying it, but it made me lots of money.
Yeah, dude.
But,
I'm sure you guys are familiar with, if you don't like outright know, Mike Zagaria.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He decided, 6 months or so ago, he's just playing covers.
Yeah, that's where the money is,
and
man.
like he basically made this announcement, with heavy heart, but he's like, I got bills to pay, yo.
Right.
Exactly.
And it's really sad to see, what I consider to be great musicians resign themselves to have to play other people's songs just so they can make some money.
Yeah.
And I hate seeing, a bar or a venue will be like, all right, so we got this cover band on, Friday night. We're going to pay them $400. And then Saturday night, we've got, a local band playing original music that they wrote, and put everything together themselves.
Yeah.
And we're going to pay them $100.
Or to go on top of that, we're going to pay the original band $50, but at the same time, we're also going to have a cover band play, in the next room.
Right.
And pay them $300, $400.
No venue names.
No.
No venue names. But there are a couple of places we've encountered that that's been the drill. And
that is the thing. I mean, it's no bad name on the bands that are doing it. Obviously they're in it to make their money, and good on them. It's the venue, I think, for the double booking and
it's kind of rude.
Yeah,
I mean, it's definitely rude. If you're gonna book something, try and get one thing.
Right.
Just put your effort and money towards that, because you never know, you might, whether you go with the cover band or you go with the original band, either way, you never know, you're going to get something good.
Right. And, most original bands do covers, because that's what they start jamming on before they start writing their own music.
Right. They all look at each other. We all look at each other and go, okay, so let's start with what songs do we all know?
Yeah. Right.
Well, we are aware of them well enough where we can fake it through.
Yeah. Well, and of course, musicians are music fans, and you're going to pay homage in a way.
Exactly.
I know you guys. One of the songs you like to play is "California Love."
Yes.
Which I think it's a fucking brilliant song. I think the first time I heard you guys play it, I think it might have been at Stamps, and I'm outside having a cigarette, and I hear it, and I'm like, what the? And so, I finish my cigarette, and I go back in, and I'm like, it was. All right. Cool. Good on you guys.
Yeah. No, we've done that one a couple of times.
Yeah.
The first one we did it with our first show, we actually had AJ Amherst come up and sing a verse on it.
Monkey Brothers. I think they're Monkey Brothers 2099 right now.
Yeah.
And they're going to be playing Tudor with Coffin Hook, I know, coming up soon.
Yeah.
But, AJ was up on stage with us for that one.
Yeah. And then, didn't we have somebody else do it with us?
Well, after that, we did it once or twice with just me doing all the vocals, and that's I can do the first verse, I can do Dre's part, but when you get to Tupac's part, that shit gets hard to play and sing at the same time. And then we had Joe Kent do it with us.
Right.
Yeah,
for his birthday party, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Or was his birthday party Burning the Bush?
That was Burning the Bush, but I know he's done it with us before.
Yeah,
I think he did both.
Maybe. I don't know.
It's been a strange ride, man.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
But, going back to the crowds, the first crowd was really supportive, and we thought, it was just going to be because we're new kind of thing. This is our friends. Yay, look at my friends up there playing. Mm-hmm. And we kind of watched the crowds dwindle a little bit into our first year, but that was due to us oversaturating the market.
Yeah, every show that we got offered, we said yes to, which
we wanted to put the name out there.
But it is good and bad, because it did build us our diehards, the people that we see, right up at the front of the stage every time, singing along with all the songs. They know all the words and everything. They have favorites.
Right. And I'm sure it helped to foster relationships with other acts.
Oh,
it
yeah,
did.
absolutely.
Most certainly did. And then from there...
That kind of stemmed the whole idea of the Nick and Dan show after we got done with the whole Nick and Dan doing shit. Let's bring our friends from the other bands on.
Right? Let them talk a little bit. So we don't have to talk as much.
Seriously, because we were running out of ideas.
It's like, okay.
But, even... so we went through that thing, kind of oversaturated the market, and we watched the crowds dwindle a little bit. Mm-hmm. And then, coming back out the next year, we were like, all right, so let's not do that again. Yeah. What did we do? We played way too many shows. We were playing shows every 2 weeks.
Yeah, there was a couple of months where it was just back to back to back, and it got tedious for a little bit because we weren't able to practice and work on newer stuff and write.
Yeah,
it was always show up. Okay, what's the set list?
No.
What are we working on? What we gotta get ready to bring up on stage?
Right. So then from there, we just we decided to space things out, and through this, we got offered bigger shows just because we proved that we could sell.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we got to open for a couple of really cool freaking acts and garnered some of their fans in the process.
Right, like Trap, Smile Empty Soul, Toy Called God, You're the Locust, Jack Knife Stiletto, who since then we've now played
several shows.
We've played every Halloween together that we've been a band.
Yeah,
we've played with them.
Kind of become a Halloween tradition now.
Yep.
Huh.
Doyle from the Misfits twice.
Michael Graves
from the Misfits. So yeah, we've had a real nice run as far as the shows we've been getting. The crowds have been getting gradually bigger, and it's fun. It's just fun.
And
it's cool.
The other part
see.
of it is too is you're not only are we kind of established in the scene now, but people who we may have known of before are now what we consider close friends, like Brian Muller of Breaking Solace and things like that. So now we get to kind of spread the love like that,
Right.
It's just like it's like what Nick said earlier. It's become a large family, which is nice. It's not just us going in the thing, playing our shit, and then leaving. We get to hang out. It's almost like a holiday with the family.
Right.
We have a big spread of food or whatever. Family time. Talk to this aunt, talk to that aunt. Except for us, we just got lines of beer cans and fucking awesome music and talking to people who we may have seen the day before or haven't seen in 2 weeks.
Right. It's fun for me, because from when I was still active in the scene with Lucid Fire, there's only 2 bands left that I was jamming with, or that were jamming around. That'd be Seven Faces and Kennedy Carpool. They're the only ones left still kicking, and like when we first played with Seven Faces, because Carpool actually took until this past weekend for the LWNY anniversary party for us to finally play together. We had a couple of things lined up, but things came up with them, so they weren't able to do them last minute. But like Seven Faces, I hadn't seen Scott and all them for years at that point. And when we played, we all hugged, like, hey, it's been so long. Carpool, same thing this past Saturday when we all got in for Logan. Hugs all around, high fives, great to see ya. Good to see you're up and still doing shit.
Yeah, it's a good feeling. It's kind of the driving force is, the fans are awesome and we love them. Mm-hmm. The venues are great, we love them, but to have the support of bands that you've gone out to see and not have played yourself,
right?
For them to come up and be like, dude, I'm so glad you're on this bill,
right?
It tickles you in just the right spot.
It's right behind the ball sack.
Right behind the sandbar, as we've come to learn,
or the grundle, depending on who you talk to.
Oh, Richie.
And on that note, we're about out of time.
Oh,
it goes quickly when you sit there.
It does.
It does.
What's your next show?
June 15th. It's our CD release show right here in Niagara Falls at the River Pub, 6004 Buffalo Avenue.
I'm glad you knew all that.
Yeah, we fire up at 10, but we're probably going to be there by 8 o'clock hanging out. The new CD from Darker Tides is going to be for sale, along with some new merch and some fun stuff.
Yep.
We got 3 full sets planned.
Cool.
It's going to be a long night.
It is. We got a lot of
I'll
really...
get to that. Now, you did your birthday at the River Pub.
I did.
Yes.
And there's a cute bartender.
She's got her looks, and she'll also knock me out at some point, I'm sure. My wife works there, but they really do have a great staff in general beyond just my wife. The owners, Billy and Kelly Jones, really have a great knack for what they're doing. They've got submariners attached to it that has great food.
Right.
Serving up subs, wings, all the good shit. But yeah, I'm excited for that one. June 15th, like I said, we'll be there hanging out by 8 p.m.
It's a free show, too. There's no cover.
And then we're firing up at 10 p.m., and we're going to play until we're
can't
done.
play anymore.
Yeah. We plan on having a really great time. We got a lot of surprises for everybody that evening, and we've also been working on some giveaways we want to do to say thank you to all of our fans as well.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, I look forward to that. But before that, I look forward to Season 2 dropping.
Oh,
yeah, that
me
should
too.
be a good time. Finally get it to air. We've
know,
had
right.
some great times on Season 2. Some new faces, some old faces, some faces you may have not want to see.
You know.
Some faces you may have wanted to see.
There's
Who
a
knows?
reason I do radio, not video.
You know, there's a couple of fucking drunk assholes, too,
Carl,
just sitting there.
Carl,
fuck
shut the fuck
up.
up.
No, I don't want to shut the fuck up. You shut up, fat boy. What is your goddamn problem?
Here we go.
You know what? Why don't you shave your fucking beard? You look like a grizzly bear.
Do I
Jesus
have to
Christ.
shove your own hand in your bony ass again?
You know what? I liked it last time. Joke's on you.
Touche.
Ladies
God.
and gentlemen, Nick and Dan.
Have a
The
great
Nick
one,
and Dan
everybody.
See ya.
We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, you will not believe what the birds are doing. Every fucking week, the birds, they're at it again. I can't even with him right now. I got to get these guys out of the studio so I can tell you about what's going on in the bird war. You're listening to Here's the Thing. I'm Scott Leffler. This is All West New York Radio. I'll be right back. According to a recent Bloomberg report, U.S. retail giant Best Buy has informed its suppliers that it will no longer sell CDs starting July 1st. While this rather extreme step comes as a bit of a surprise, considering that millions of Americans, especially older ones, still buy and listen to CDs, the demise of the compact disc seems inevitable at this point. According to the Recording Industry Association of America, RIAA, CD album sales in the United States have dropped by 90% since peaking in 2000 and are currently at their lowest level since 1987, when Michael Jackson's Bad and the Dirty Dancing soundtrack topped the Billboard charts. Having been hit by the rise of MP3 players in the early 2000s, CD sales nearly halved between 2000 and 2007, which is when smartphones and the first music streaming services emerged to put the final nail in the compact disc's little round coffin. Here's the thing, though. Record sales are up. Are 8-tracks going to make a comeback? Probably not. But with kids eating Tide Pods and snorting condoms, who knows? Maybe 8-tracks will be right up their alley.
Ladies and gentlemen, today the role of Scott Leffler will be played by Harry Potter.
So as I said going into the break there, the birds are at it every week. And actually, today's story is incredible. They've been at it every single day. Now, this story takes place in England, which is why I'm being played by Harry Potter right now. So it's always funny when these news websites do these stories about bird attacks. They don't see the big picture. They look at it as an individual thing. And frequently, as a result, they reference the birds. You know, the Alfred Hitchcock, one of the best movies ever. I really want to have, by the way, I want to have people over for movie night. Here at the All West New York Radio studio, we've got a beautiful 14-foot movie screen here in the office. And I have a projector. I think everybody should come over and watch the birds. And we'll get some popcorn and, I don't know. Long story short, I want to have movie night here. But back to the story. Now, this is from thedrive.com, all right? And it's not a website that I've ever heard of before. And it's by Dave Bartosiak from April 7th, which is, what the hell's today? Today's the 8th? Today's the 9th. What is today? Today's the 9th. So this story's 2 days old. It sounds like a scene out of Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds. Brenda Brown, a 78-year-old Englishwoman from Nottinghamshire. The English always have such interesting, names for their cities and stuff. Like Nottingham, that was where the sheriff was from, right? Robin Hood and Nottingham. But Nottinghamshire, is that the son of Nottingham? Anyway. So, Brenda Brown claims that a couple of crows have been vandalizing her car and pecking at the windows of her house for the last 3 years. According to the BBC, the woman says the crows have a habit of pounding on her window at 4 a.m. and taking the windshield wipers off her Range Rover. The two crows she has named. Why the fuck would you name the crows? What is, these crows are attacking me. Let's name them George and Agnes. After her deceased parents. That makes even more sense. Let's name the crows after your dead parents. Because the crows are attacking you. Did the parents attack you? Anyway. So they've also been pulling off chunks of rubber seals around her Rover's windows. Next door had the same colored car, but they never touched that, and they never banged on their windows. I don't know what they've got against me. Now, first of all, it could be that you drive a Range Rover. I might not blame them for that. Secondly, you named them after your parents. Clearly, you have issues. The birds probably know this. They will fuck with the weak and feeble. Brown claims that she's had to replace the windshield wipers at least 4 times, costing her nearly $50 each time. There's one reason why you don't buy a Range Rover. The birds also tend to attack the side mirrors on the car. She says she's tried everything she can to get the crows to leave her car and her house alone, even covering up the mirrors and windows to no avail. Here's an idea. Crazy idea. But get a garage? A car, I think you call them car parks, right? Laura, Lady Laura, at Lady Laura Moore. Do they call them car parks in England? Or is that a parking lot? What's a garage called? Because I'm sure they don't call them garages, right? Because no English word is the same in English as it is in America. Anyway, it's not that the crows hate Range Rovers or that the rubber is delicious. Bird trainer Lloyd Buck feels there's a perfectly logical explanation. Yes, it's that the crows hate Range Rovers and that rubber's delicious. The birds are probably just reacting to their reflections in the mirror. Crows can be very territorial, and these two are likely just trying to stand their ground. 'Cause the neighbors' cars don't have mirrors? Buck said they think there's another crow in their territory. When something doesn't go away they don't like, they peck the ground or anything nearby in anger. Again, backing up. This doesn't make any sense. There are other cars in the neighborhood not being attacked by the crows. Those cars have windows too. Those cars have mirrors too. The birds would still have reflections in those cars. So despite the crows continually messing with her Range Rover for the last 3 years, the pair has sort of grown on Mrs. Brown. It's sort of a love-hate relationship now. It upsets me if there's one day they miss coming. I wonder where they are, she said. Again, clearly this lady has some issues. And this being pointed out by some of the commenters on the website. Now, normally I don't like reading the comments, but bird war comments are kind of fun. Jeb Hogue, for example, said, I had a bird that attacked my car's passenger side mirror every day for a few weeks last spring. Bird shit all over the side of the car, claw, beak marks on the glass, totally disgusting. I was contemplating setting up a blind in the garage, they do call it a garage, and waiting with a pellet gun to take the squab out when it stopped happening. There's another idea, Brenda Brown, get a pellet gun. Trelawney says, typical Drive article where the lead image is not the subject of the headline or story. The lead image is not a crow, but a raven. The second image mentions raven and crows. Which are they, author? Crows are actually pretty darn smart. Blah, blah. Anyway, the comments go on. Nobody feels bad for this lady because the lady's driving a Range Rover, and she should just know that her car is going to be attacked by crows, by birds, by something, by God. People, look, I can't spread the word myself. I need your help. I need you to help me tell the world that the crows, the birds, the ravens, it doesn't matter, all of them, they hate us. They hate us for our freedom. They hate us for our French fries. They hate us for our Range Rovers. And you know what? I kind of hate us for our Range Rovers too. But I'm not going to attack your Range Rover just because you drive a Range Rover. But if we don't get this out there, people are going to continue to be victimized and not understand why. And they're going to think that they did something wrong. Now, in this case, the woman did do something wrong. She bought a Range Rover. But generally speaking, we didn't do anything wrong. We're just at the park trying to enjoy some French fries or chips, as I'm sure they call them in Nottinghamshire. It's not Nottinghamshire either, right? It's Nottinghamshire. Laura, can I get an amen? Laura, are you religious at all? I feel like you're not. Because your favorite movie is Home Alone 5, and that's a god-awful movie. So don't hate on me on Twitter. But if you other folks want to hate on me on Twitter, you're more than welcome to. My Twitter is @ScottLeffler. So the birds, they hate us. They hate all of us. They hate us one and all. And if we don't collectively learn this, if we don't collectively acknowledge this, if we don't collectively do something to fix this, we may end up extinct. The birds may take over. It might really end up being like Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds, where they just swarm us and attack us and pluck out our eyes and stuff like in that movie, which was a great movie, which you should probably come. Lady Laura Moore, come to the States, come to beautiful Niagara Falls, New York, and we'll watch The Birds on the big screen. And you know what, Laura? I will even watch Home Alone 5 with you. But you have to come here. You've asked before when you can get a tour of the studio. Now, you can get a tour of the studio. We'll watch Home Alone 5 and The Birds. Oh, we'll get popcorn, because you got to have popcorn to watch movies. So anyway, that's what's going on in the Bird War today. Obviously, there are more Bird War stories. There's literally a Bird War story every single day. That's just the one that I saw earlier that kind of struck my fancy, and I said, oh, I got to share this. And it's funny, as Nick and Dan were headed out, they're like, what's going on with the birds? Now, well, Nick said that. Dan apparently has listened to the show before. He understands that there's something going on with the birds every single week, because every single week the birds hate us and they attack us for it, and it's just wrong and it's horrible and it's devastating. It's devastatingly horrible and horribly devastating. Anyway, so that's pretty much it for me for the show today. Just a couple minutes here. I got to sign off. But thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. And if you missed the beginning or you missed the middle, or, you had to take a potty break and you might have missed the best part. You very well could have missed the absolute best part. You should really listen to the whole show over again. You can do that on the podcast on allwesternnewyorkradio.com or allwesternnewyorknews.com. And by the way, somewhat of an announcement here. Over the weekend, I purchased a new domain to make everybody's lives easier. If you just want, you can just type in allwesternnewyork.com, and that will take you to the website where you get all the news and the radio stream and all the other fun stuff. And if you have not noticed, we've been keeping the website itself seriously more up to date. Corey, All Western New York Corey McKnight, Corey comments on my boy Cor. He has been maintaining the website. I've been helping a little bit, but it's mainly him. The reason we have so much content on allwesternnewyorknews.com right now is because of one, Corey McKnight. The man is a beast. He's phenomenal, and I appreciate him very much. Unfortunately, I have to pay him, so we're going to have to start selling some ads. So we'll figure that out in the coming weeks. But Nick and Dan show coming up here later this month. And don't forget, tomorrow, Tuesday, we've got the big picture. And that's always a fun show. Now, I don't always agree with Mike Sargent. I don't often agree with Mike Sargent. He was our guest here, was that last week? And a lot of fun. We talked about photography. Next time we got to talk about politics, because he and I disagree wholeheartedly on just about everything. So tune in for tomorrow's show. I'm sure that he and I will disagree on something. And maybe you'll agree with him or you'll disagree with him. I don't know. But you can tweet at me. You can tweet at him. Do all the tweeting. It'll be lots of fun. I feel like there was one other thing that I liked. I left myself a couple minutes here at the end to say something important, and I don't, for the life of me, remember what it was. Yeah. So maybe that's it. Yeah. So thanks for tuning in. I'm going to cut off apparently a couple minutes early because I'm out of words, and actually I have to go say more words because that's my real job. But thanks for tuning in. I've been Scott Leffler. You've been listening, which is cool. Here's the thing. We'll be returning next week. Oh, I know what it is. Next week, we're going to have Ryan and Dennis in from the Struggle is Real podcast. They've got 11 episodes in the can so far, 12th one coming up. But the plan is to have them in studio next Monday, and we'll talk with them about what it is that they do. If you haven't listened to their podcast, listen to that too. All Western New York radio is just going gangbusters. Always getting better, always adding more stuff. So next week we'll have Ryan and Dennis in studio. We'll talk to them. And until then, if you want to talk to me, you can do so on Twitter at Scott Leffler. And thanks again for tuning in. I'll see you next week. Peace!